Hello, your call cannot be taken at the moment, so please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, Dylan and Justin. It's Rena from Buckeye. I just wanted to call and send you all my fave albums from 2020. And some of these are overlaps with other folks in the band, but I just have a list of 6 albums that were really there for me in 2020 and got me through the year. So I'll start, and this is in alphabetical order. No, not actually. It's not. My bad. So there's Algiers, There Is No Year. Algiers is one of the last shows I actually got to see before everything went on lockdown, so I'm glad I got to see them play some of these songs before we couldn't go to shows anymore. And then we have Bad Moves, Untenable, Bart T. Strange, Live Forever, Warriors, You Are Somebody You Know, Oceanator, Things I Never Said, and also I have Hayley Williams, Petals for Armor. I love pop music and I love Paramore, and I was so excited that Hayley put out a solo album this year, so that has been like in my heavy rotation for 2020. But there's been so many great releases. It was really hard to narrow it down, but those 6 really have been on constant replay throughout the year and have been really, really awesome to listen to and just push through all of the wildness that has happened in 2020 and keep me moving. So hopefully y'all enjoy these albums and maybe somebody will listen to something new. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Hi, this is Garrett Hersfeld. I play drums in Charlotte, North Carolina band Petrov, and these are my top albums of 2020 list. No particular order. We got The Ascension by Sufjan Stevens. It's amazing. The album No by Japanese band Boris. I think it's on Bandcamp only. It was really good. Atlas Vending by Metz I really liked. Tautology by L1011 I really liked. Gray by Moses Subney was cool. Wonderful Hell by War on Women was really cool. Deleter by a group called Holy Fuck. Album Inlet by Hum. It's really cool. First one from them in a long time. Protean Threat by OCs. And A Hero's Death by Fontaine DC from Ireland. So that's my list. Thanks. Bye.
This is Tara Two-Tone from the Checkered Cast podcast, and my 2020 new release, Best of 2020, is The Ride from Bad Cop, Bad Cop, and The Suicide Machines' Revolution Spring. Best albums of the year.
Hi, Justin and Dylan. This is Colleen from Pass the Mic. I hope you all have been doing okay. I know 2020 has been quite a year, but I wanted to share with you some of my favorite albums from 2020. The first one that I have been loving has been Petals for Armor by Hayley Williams. I did not expect to love this album as much as I did, but it became my album of the summer. It was definitely weird listening to it in 2020 because normally these songs are so poppy, and these would be ones that I would love to blast in the car and sing along with all my friends as we get ready to go out or something like that. So it was weird not having those moments to enjoy it with and not being able to share it with people in the way that I normally would. But this album still definitely got me through the summer. So poppy and upbeat. Hayley Williams shows so many different sides of herself on Petals for Armor. So it was definitely one of my favorites. Probably my favorite track was Dead Horse, but they're all phenomenal. The second album that I've been loving was Kind by Tanya Iyer. This is such a beautiful album and kind of a very different experience than listening to Petals for Armor. Kind is a very calm and kind of meditative album. I, like many other people, spent a lot of time alone in my house this year. And so this was an album that really got me through those experiences and helped me kind of sit with myself. There are so many beautiful textures on this album, so many poetic lyrics and song titles that are also really honest. She has a song called I Forget to Drink Water, which I can definitely relate to. So I really love this album from Tanya Iyer called Kind. And then the last album that I want to mention is actually an EP, but it's from the band Bugsy, who are a quartet from Minneapolis. And I cannot believe that this album came out in 2020 because I remember going to a concert and seeing Bugsy play this album or this EP live, which seems like such a strange concept now. But Bugsy are amazing. They are kind of indie rock, grunge, punk, but also super melodic. So all of the songs on Teratoma are super catchy, but also really energetic and cathartic. So this one came out in February of 2020, and it has been one of my favorites for the whole year. So I'm super excited to see what Bugsy are up to next. So thanks so much for having me on the show, and I'm excited to hear what you all have been loving in 2020. Bye.
Hey, this is Steve Doesn't from the Doesn'tSuck.com, and I'd like to talk to you real quick about a few albums that came out this year by lesser known sort of up-and-coming bands you may not have heard of. So I'm just going to get right into it because this thing's going to cut me off in like 3 minutes. The first album I'd like to bring to your attention is Lack of Vocation by Laverne. These guys are currently my favorite local band from here in Vancouver and maybe my favorite new band from anywhere recently. They had a really good LP a few years ago called Yarrow, and this is an equally as good follow-up. We're talking groovy post-punk, and the lead singer has a really sarcastic attitude in his voice, which I think you'll either love or hate. Me, I love it. Insert music here. Our next album is Delrecia Shvemu se doshi grash by Absurd. That's APSURD. It's actually a mashup of an EP they put out last year and a new one, so it's basically an LP as far as I'm concerned. Fresh out of Belgrade. What you know about some Serbian hardcore? Here's what I know. It fucking jumps. Insert music here. Lastly, but most definitely not leastly, maybe my favorite release of the year, Where I Live Now by Street City Surf, spelled with an S. City spelled with an S. And it's just the most incredible garagey indie punk out of Portland. Not that Portland, the other Portland. There's another Portland? Yes. And obviously they have at least one killer band. Insert music here. And that's it. If you want to find like 50,000 other bands you've never heard of, check out the Doesn'tSuck.com. My year-end top 10 is probably up by now too. Hensley Brothers, keep up the great work on the podcast. Taking it, never faking it. And everybody else, keep on fighting the good fight. And I hope you all have a very normal new year.
Hey guys, it's Morgan from Bedtime Magic. Just calling to let you guys know about my top record for 2020. Weird year, as I'm sure everybody else has told you. I think my favorite record, or at least the record that got the most plays from me, was a band called Proto Martyr. They made a record called Ultimate Success Today. I had not heard of these guys until this year. I heard them randomly on the radio. I thought sort of post-punk, I guess, in the vein of like Gang of Four, Joy Division, not sounding like either of those bands, but maybe sort of same kind of spirit. Heard them randomly on the radio, bought the record. I've been listening to it a ton. Yeah, they do some really cool moves. It's worth checking out. Definitely these guys are philosophy majors or at least spent some good time studying philosophy. I like a band that I know is smart. Yeah, that's what I got. The other highlight of 2020 was me and Nicholas talking with you guys on your pod a little while back. It was definitely a lot of fun. I hope you guys have a good 2021, and I'll be listening. Thanks.
Hey, punk Lautarians, Latizers. Hey, punk Luddites. This is Nicholas Pentabana from Bedtime Magic. I've been thinking for weeks and weeks and weeks about what the best record of 2020 is. And it has been extremely difficult. I feel like this year was almost a wash for music. 2019 had some great stuff. I'm hoping 2021 has some great stuff. If there was a force put upon me to pick something, I would say Yashira's record was really good. That band from Florida. And then if I go outside of the genre, there was Prof did a pretty decent record this year. And everything Liturgy ever does is incredible, but I just wasn't feeling that record. I don't know. People keep saying there was all these good records this year, and then they tell me about them, and I'm like, eh. So I guess that's my 2 cents. Not Morgan's 2 cents, but that's my 2 cents. Thank you for your time.
Hey, this is Stefan from the band The Big Easy, here on Punk Lotto Podcast, and I'm here to talk about some of my favorite releases that came out this year in 2020. I have to admit I haven't listened to too many new records this year, but I have listened to quite a few that I really enjoyed. One record that I really love that came out this year is, I believe, the new Nothing record. I believe it's called The Great Dismal. They're pretty much just like a slowcore, loud, almost kind of metal band, which is really awesome record that came out a couple months ago. Another record that I really love that came out this year is this band called Dogwood Tales from Virginia. They released an album called Closest Thing to Heaven, which is like an indie folk Americana country record, which I just haven't stopped listening to since it came out, and I really recommend that. I guess another record that I really enjoyed this year was In Sickness and Flames by the Front Bottoms. They're really close friends of mine, but I found that this record was kind of like a return to form from them. If you don't know the Front Bottoms, they're like this folk punk indie emo band that really like took off with their first record, and I think this record kind of like, harkens back to that a little bit. One record that I literally haven't stopped listening to since I discovered it, which was like 3 weeks ago, is this band called Slow Pulp, and they released their debut album this year as well. The album's called Movies, and I strongly recommend checking that out. I literally just have been listening to this band on repeat. They're like an indie kind of like a little shoegazy. I just discovered them, but they're awesome, so I would definitely recommend checking them out too. And that's kind of like as far as my 2020 list goes. But the Big Easy Hour record came out this year as well, so you can go and check that out as well. Our album is called A Long Year, and it came out in October. So I would say check that out as well, because, why not? Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys have an awesome new year. I want to thank Punk Lotto for having me. And, hell yeah, moving on to 2021, I suppose. Take care, everyone.
Hey, this is Scott from the Fly in the Call podcast, here to talk some of my favorite releases of 2020. A quick breakdown of stats. For Apple Music, I checked out 439 albums, while also somehow listening to 460 different artists. I'm not sure how that adds up. My most played album released in 2020 was Spanish Love Songs' Brave Faces Everyone, which was certainly my number one album of the year. It takes the energy I fell in love with on Schmaltz, condenses and refines it, and doubles down on the emotional impact of the lyrics. Fish's Stigma Oasis is the runner-up, and was the album that was there for me when I needed it most. Fittingly enough, it offered an oasis, a brief break from the worries and stressors of the year, with laid-back, positive vibes. For a band almost 40 years into their career to release one of my favorite albums of the year is certainly a feat. This is where things get a bit dicey, and I'm going to mention some other releases I enjoyed without ranking them. Will Wood's The Normal album dissects what it means to be normal, while being anything but. Think Telethon meets Forgive Durden's Razia's Shadow. Just listen, it's worth it. Bartiz Strange had the glow up of the year, and I'm so freaking proud of him. Live Forever is an undeniable hit, and listening to Say Goodbye to Pretty Boy on vinyl for the first time was one of my favorite musical experiences of the year. We're witnessing the birth of a legend. Waxahachie's St. Cloud is one I listened to around the time it came out, but I didn't truly appreciate it in all of its beauty until I revisited it at the end of the year. The album gives off strong Adventures of Pete and Pete vibes, and that's about as close as I can get to defining a genre. Each song truly is masterfully crafted. A few other album shoutouts go to Free IH by Illuminati Hotties, Early Humans with A-Wave, Baby.Backtalk's Genre Reveal Party, I'm the Avalanche's Dive, and RTJ4 by Run the Jewels. Bands like Meet Me at the Altar, Jiraiya, Pink Shift, A Tiger Made of Lightning, Magnolia Park, Cliff Diver, Hotel Etiquette, and Virginity didn't have full-length releases this year, but put out some amazing EPs and singles, and are all set to have a banner 2021. I feel like I slacked on listening to new music in 2020, but clearly that isn't really true, because I could definitely continue on. As a little shameless self-promo, I talked to many of the artists I just mentioned on Fly on the Call, so if you like what you hear, go check them out and show them some love. Thanks to Punk Lotto for having me on and being great homies. Here's to more awesome music in 2021.
Guess who? It's 10 o'clock. Do you care where your parents are?
Because after all, it is a jungle out there.
What's up, posers? My name's David, and yes, I totally stole Justin's gimmick because I like it, and since this is the Punk Lotto podcast, I figured I would start with the Punk Lotto podcast opening. Like I said, my name's David Brown. I write the website OklahomaLefty.com. It's a music blog. Been doing it for about, website for 15 years, music specifically for a good 10. Been into the whole punk thing for going on 35 years-ish, 32 years. I don't know. It all started in 1988. U2 changed my life. I know you're going to laugh at me. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Anywho, Dylan and Justin asked me to jump back on the show I was on in June. We did the episode on the band All's album Breaking Things. If you've never listened to All, well, it's a goddamn shame because All is the band that should have been huge and is 1,000 times better than their flip side band, The Descendants, in my humble opinion. And yes, I know 3/4 of the band is basically the same, but whatevs. Anyway, we did that. That was a ton of fun. And then I gave them the brilliant idea for doing 100 albums for their 100th episode, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So, yes, you're welcome for that awesome listening experience. The boys asked me to come back on and give you my top 5 records for 2020. Now, I've just posted my entire list for 2020, the top 40 records of 2020, including an honorable mentions list. You can find over at OklahomaLefty.com. Pretty good list, if I do say so myself. Give that a read if you would be so kind. But before we get into my top 5, there is a song that I have to mention that did not come out on an album or an EP this year. And just fair warning, my list includes albums and EPs. I used to break them down into separate lists, and I decided to hell with it. I like having them together. So, this is a song by one of my favorite newer bands. The band is Sincere Engineer. Their debut album, Rhombithian, was not only my favorite album of the year when it came out, it was my favorite album of the 2010s. Best record of the entire decade, hands down. And this year, they signed to Hopeless Records, which I was like, wait a minute, you're already on the coolest freaking record label around, Red Scare Industries. Well, why you want to move? And then I saw the roster of bands on that label. I was like, oh, yeah, that is a bigger label. So good for Deanna and company. Sincere Engineer is a tremendous band. I got to see them a year or so ago. They finally made it to Oklahoma City. And despite the fact that she was sicker than a dog and had no voice, they slayed. It was so good. But they did drop a song this year called Trust Me. And trust me when I tell you, it's fucking great. All right, so at number 5, we have Buddies 2, Still Buddies from Frank Turner and Jon Snodgrass. Now, truth be told, Frank Turner is one of my all-time favorite artists. He is incredible. Jon Snodgrass is also equally incredible. I'm a big fan of his work in Armchair Martian, in Drag the River, his solo stuff. I've met him a couple times, and he is a super, unbelievably nice guy. And this record is just so much fun, to the point where there are just little references to friends of theirs. You know, they kind of first hooked up on the Revival tour back in the early 2010s when they were doing that, which, you know, if I could have gone to a Revival tour, that would have been amazing. Things I regret not being able to do, seeing the Revival tour, going to Fest like ever, and missing the Replacements when they got back together and did their reunions. Anyway, back on to Buddies 2. This record is so funny. The opening song, Still Buddies, makes reference to all of their friends, and there's a hilarious bit about John's Drag the River partner and Vulture Wake and all singer Chad Price. It's just fucking hilarious.
What about Chad? Chad Price moved to Indiana. I heard that he's given up meat and beer. That's good. I should. Buddies, buddies, still buddies, buddies, still buddies. And we got Stephen too. Welcome to Buddies
2. So the story with this record is it's a sequel. Back in 2010, Frank and Jon got together and recorded an album, a 10-song album in a day, basically in an afternoon, just the two of them. And they put it out. It's called Buddies. It's a lot of fun. And in fact, the song that we just played a bit of, Still Buddies, is a direct response / reference to the opening track from their original Buddies album called Buddies. At least I think it's the opening track. If I'm wrong on that, forgive me. I'd actually have to look it up. Anyway, it's funny. The song is such a direct sequel. There are references to other points in the old, and just trust me when I tell you, it's funny. And go back and listen to the original, and then listen to this one, and you'll see it made me laugh. Anyway, the gimmick of this record is that it was all recorded in one day, and they're doing it again, but this time it's over COVID. They're doing it like it's a Zoom call. It's really funny, and one of the fun things about both of these albums is in between songs, there are these bits of them talking. Like they're trying to figure out what song to do next, what they want it to be about, so on and so forth. And this one part just cracked me up so bad. Every time I hear it, I honest to God, laugh out loud. So there's this bit where Jon asks, so what's next on the track list? And Frank tries his damnedest not to break kayfabe, and telling Jon, no, we're making this up as we go along.
I'm not going to edit anything. Okay. This is all going in. But anyway, so what should we write a song about now?
I apologize. What's the next song on the track list?
I was going to... There is no pre-existing track list, Jon. We're just writing these as we go and recording them at the same time, remember?
Oh, that's right.
The entire thing is just too perfect and too funny. And, I mean, there's a song about fleas and how the earth is about to kick humans off because of fleas. It's a take on an old George Carlin bit. There's a song about Stephen Edgerton, who is playing drums on the record, playing drums, and the fact that he's a guitarist in a band, but he plays drums. There is a song about Macbeth, which is a reworking of Kiss's Beth song, but it also has probably the best lyric for a song that really encapsulates everything that the whole 2020 experience with COVID-19 is all about when Jon Snodgrass sings I Can't Find a Mask That Suits Me, in the song that was the first single and the song that just goes to prove that what I really need in this world more than possibly anything is a Frank Turner, Jon Snodgrass, and Stephen Edgerton pop punk band.
Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, stuck inside a house like a prison. Inmates losing track of time, never waste that change. Every kind of money, put a great face on it. But if I'm being honest, it's not a feeling straight. Running out of recipes and TV box that's finished. About to do this, now I'm out in the tones. Torn out of my house, was a better rebuild instead. I'm running over, but in truth, I probably won't. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times. Stand up on the TV. I can't find a mask that suits me, but I'm safe up here in my tree. As long as these birds feed me. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times, good vibes, gotta keep the good vibes. Bad times.
Bad Times, Good Vibes, Frank Turner, Jon Snodgrass, summing it all up right there. That song, I know I'm only supposed to play clips, but it's like a minute long, and I couldn't figure out a good place to stop. So you got to enjoy the entire thing. If you like that, then you'll probably enjoy the rest of the record. It's a lot of inside jokes. It's a lot of fun. And the other great thing about it is it's with Stephen Edgerton playing drums and the fact that Jon Snodgrass is one of the biggest All fans in the entire world, to the point where if you follow him on social media and you ever see him type anything, anytime he types the word All, it is always in all capital letters, and that makes me smile. But this record, it's this perfect combining of worlds, because, you know, another one of my favorite bands of all time is the aforementioned All, and having two of my, top 5 favorite acts of all time integrating is just so much fun. Plus, they're both great guys. So that's it. Number 5, Buddies 2, Still Buddies, from Frank Turner and Jon Snodgrass.
Accommodations for the cast and crew were provided by the Moose Lodge, situated high atop. Why don't you take a peek?
And coming in at number 4, we have Sam Russo's third album. It is titled Back to the Party. It's on Red Scare Industries, my personal favorite record label going now, if not one of my favorite record labels of all time. Such good shit the Red Scare Toby does. So good. I was first introduced to Sam Russo's music 5 years ago with his sophomore album, Greyhound Dreams, which just absolutely blew me away. Then last year, in 2019, Red Scare put out their 15-year compilation and included a song that ended up on this latest album from Mr. Russo, a song called The Window. And this song is quite possibly perfect.
Well, I'm about ready to just give up. I'm sat at the crossroads and I'm spinning wheels. Well, I'm just stuck in this town, in a dream, in a lie no one believes. No one believes. And it goes out of the window. It's like I've been through the door. The same way it always
So as you can tell, Sam's got the whole punk rock troubadour doing acoustic thing going on. But his real strengths are the emotional power of his songs. Every record he has put out is a roller coaster, and it takes you through so many different emotions, highs and lows, and it hits right in the heart. And he also writes these just really catchy songs. The other song that I'd like to point out is the final track on the record called The Basement. And this one is just, well, here, let me just play you a bit of it.
I was so wrong about everything. All the things that mattered to me. I found a picture of us in the basement, and it all came back to me. Oh, it was so, and oh, so long ago. I should have been there, it's so stupid. I should have been there, no excuses. But I'm back where I started, and I know I shouldn't think this way. Yeah, I know, and I'm back where I started. I'm back where I started.
I really can't say enough good things about Sam Russo and his albums, and Back to the Party is just another example of why he is one of the best songwriters out there today. And hopefully someday, once the world is out of the apocalypse and we're back to normal, Mr. Russo will get on a plane over here to the United States, and we'll play somewhere at least relatively close to me, so I will get to see him live and shake his hand and tell him how much I enjoy what he does.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
All right, we are up to number 3 on Dave Brown's top 5 records of 2020. This is a band from Oklahoma City. They are called Don't Make Ghosts. Their latest EP is To Hell with the Smiles. They released their debut back in 2016. It was my favorite record of the year because it's basically fucking flawless. And the follow-up is really just as freaking good. This is a 5-song release. None of the songs are duds. They all rock. Now, to be fair, to be honest, and transparent, I am friends with this band. I've known 2 of these guys for 20 years, but that doesn't completely cloud my judgment where it comes to their music, because they are fucking great. How do I know this? Well, a few years ago, I booked them to be part of a festival in the small town that I work in, which is just outside of the Oklahoma City metro area, and festival, let's use an air quote. So they played, and not many people were watching because that community has been trained to not pay attention to the bands playing. And to be fair, because the vast majority of the bands that have ever played this thing over the years are just, ridiculous cover bands or just not very good. No offense. Obviously, they're all better than I am because I'm not getting up on stage and trying this. Anywho, Don't Make Ghosts got up there, fucking slayed. These guys are one of the tightest bands you will ever see. And the gentleman who was the MC walked up on stage and said, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. That was incredible. Because these guys are amazing. So Don't Make Ghosts have a sound that it mixes so many of the different elements of punk rock. You've got your hot water music-esque post-hardcore emo stuff. You've got Midwestern punk. You've got elements of pop punk. You've got, even some more angular bits of the post-hardcore stuff. You've got, even sprinkles of Springsteen and Petty in here. And they're just incredible. And I love these guys so much. There are 2 songs on this EP that I think are the standouts that you just have to hear. If you're going to listen to nothing else on this record, you need to listen to these 2 songs. The first one is called Get Lonely and has, perfect lyrics that sum up to me what I'm really hoping for once we get back to a normal world and I get the opportunity to see my friends get on stage and do what they do better than damn near anyone in the world, and that's play rock and roll.
A moment in time. A moment in time. The body felt connected again. Like a pain and a purpose. Does it brought me to you in the end? We got so fucking high, we stood through the die. You never did what might have been. Let's get fucked, get lonely again. Get lonely again.
God damn, I love that lyric. Just that moment in the song, and it goes, "A moment in time, I finally felt connected again, like the pain had a purpose, because it brought me to you in the end." If that doesn't sum up the frustration that is this year, the year of our COVID 2020, I don't know what does. The other song I'd like to point out is, and by the way, every song in this EP is freaking great, so you should go buy it right now. But the next song that I want to point out as a highlight is the song Paper Planes. And one of the things that I really, really like about this band that I think people don't notice right off the top because just they fucking rock is the storytelling in the lyrics. And this one is a great example of just some masterful storytelling, and there's a lot going on. So I do suggest when you listen to this album, pull up the lyrics. They're on the band's Bandcamp page. So pull that up, take a listen, and read along. And I think you'll get a lot more out of it because it's there's really a lot going on here. Don't Make Ghosts with their song Paper Planes from the EP To Hell With the Smiles, number 3 in my top 5 records of 2020.
This is a tasty burger.
All right, we're getting closer. Yeah, all that excitement's coming along. We are only one spot away from the top spot of 2020. But who is in at number 2? Well, the number 2 album is what I consider one of the most important records to come out all year long. The band is Benchmarks. The album is Summer Slowly. It came out in August. This band hails from Nashville, Tennessee. I first got on this band's radar when it was sometime before their last album, 2017's Our Undivided Attention. The singer/guitar player, Todd Farrell Jr., used to be a member of one of my favorite bands, Two Cow Garage. And he eventually left Two Cow to focus on Benchmarks. Now, the cool thing about Benchmarks is this is a band that is really hard to narrow down. Other than just to say, this band plays rock and roll, you can't really pin a specific subgenre on them because there's elements of punk, there's elements of alt country, there is a lot of heavy metal influence because Todd is a rocker at heart. I consider him in probably a past life. He had the long hair and he had the super tight jeans, rocking out to the Pantera and all that good stuff. But this album is so thoughtful and so stirring, and just from the start to the end is really basically flawless. It's one of those albums that almost every time I put it on, I listen to it all the way through. And there's not a single bad song. The lyrics are haunting in places, they're prophetic in others, and it's so good. One of the first songs that they released in anticipation, of the singles coming out before the record actually dropped, was a song called Our Finest Hour. And it's the one that I think lyrically might be the most prescient for our times. It's just so good.
I'm committed but conflicted, contradicted but confirmed, in knowing that I know that I have so much left to learn. A purveyor of the problem, out here trying to solve myself, feeling discrepancy between what I have seen and what I've felt. We're all searching for our own versions of heaven over hell, but nothing really changes till we decide to change ourselves. And I won't settle to watch the world burn from up here in the cheap seats, but right now I know that I still need to listen before I speak.
Another track that has just some extremely biting commentary is The Good Fight. I mean, just take a listen to this chorus. And is it all for the greater good, or do we just toe the party line, fighting the so-called good fight just so I can get what's mine? I mean, that's incredible.
Just so I can get what's mine. And just who are we helping? And what are we fighting for? Fighting the so-called good fight, and maybe you can get what's yours. Living in an echo chamber and I can't get out. I'm living in an echo chamber and I can't get out. I'm living in an echo chamber and I can't get out. I'm living in an echo chamber and I can't get out.
So here's a little bit of the review I wrote for the album. In total, Summer Slowly is 12 tracks of rock and roll perfection. This is the kind of rock music that transcends subgenres. Seriously, this record has it all. Great hooks, heartfelt lyrics, blistering guitars, soaring ballads, and catchy arena rock anthems. If there was any justice in this world, Benchmarks would be writing this album to the highest heights possible. Then again, this band might just be too good for the masses. And that is something I 100% stand by. This album is impossibly good. This band is impossibly good. And also they're good people. Man, I don't know about you, but when I found out that an artist or a band are a bunch of dicks, I have a really hard time supporting them, giving them money, listening to their music, anything like that. But when I find out that the folks in a band or an artist, solo artist or whatnot, are good people, I love them that much more. And Todd Farrell and company are good people. And this record is just an absolute must for the year.
Let the cicadas sing their songs until there's nothing left to sing. Let the magnolias bloom and let them fall. Let me learn how to let go of the solace in the sun, and learn to face the wolves when they should call. Because time is relentless and the winds have surely changed. And slowly summer into autumn slips. Let me embrace this transformation and embrace the life I own, and cherish all the songs upon my lips.
Push the button, Frank.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for with bated breath. Oh, who am I kidding? No one gives a shit. But this is my favorite album of the year, and it actually, in this year, happens to be an album, as I am known for having EPs be my favorite record of the year. But this one's a full length, and it is a doozy. It's from one Mr. Jon Snodgrass. The album is Taste. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. It's the Latin word for shh. And it's just incredible. I mean, it hit me at such the perfect time. A lot of this year I spent listening to a lot of older music. I spent a lot of time listening to a playlist I had put together of kind of songs that I found inspiring that I would use if I ever ran for office as campaign songs. Yes, I know that's nerdy, but I'm one of those nerdy kind of people that do those sorts of things. Anyway, this album just came out and it filled me with such absolute and unadulterated joy. No album, no record, no song, nothing musically this year brought me more joy than Jon Snodgrass's Taste. It's so perfectly good. It's fun. The songs are catchy, and it's in many ways it's kind of a best of Snodgrass's career, but with all new songs. You've got some punk rock songs which harken back to his days in Armchair Martian. You've got some old country songs that go back to his days in Drag the River. You've got just these fun solo songs that run the gambit, and it's just great. And some of it is Snodgrass has this incredible sense of humor, and it is up front and center. The opening track is a piece of dialogue between Snodgrass and Joey Cape, and this shit is just hilarious.
No, but we got it. Like, just so take a shower now. I'm gonna hop in the pool. We'll order the food.
Wait, you just took a shower and you're gonna go in the pool?
I'm a Renaissance man.
Oh boy.
And that bit leads straight into the first song of the album, Renaissance Man, which is just absolute peak, prime, perfect Jon Snodgrass. It will remind you of everything great in punk rock, and especially his old band, Armchair Martian. It's so good. And I know I'm repeating myself constantly just saying it's great and it's so good and I should dig in more to it. But sometimes you just hear something and you don't need to analyze it. You don't need to rip it apart and explain and analyze and tell you exactly which each little bit means and what it says and what its comment on society is. Sometimes you hear something and you just go, wow, that's fucking incredible.
He's a Renaissance man and he's doing what he can. It's acceptable. He's a Renaissance man and he doesn't have a plan. It's incredible. He doesn't read anymore 'cause he's written all the books in the store.
So now take a listen to some of the people who have played on this record. We have the aforementioned Joey Cape, Stacy D from Bad Cop, Stephen Edgerton, Mikey Erg, the Homeless Gospel Choir, John Moreland. Oh, John Moreland, one of the greatest songwriters around. Whew. If you haven't listened to John Moreland, side note, his latest album, LP5, was on my top 40. Head over to OklahomaLefty.com to check out where it landed. But if you really want to hear some beautiful singer-songwriter material, go check out John Moreland's album, In the Throes. It is perfection. But I digress. Also, we have on here Tim from Rise Against, and I did not say his last name because I don't know how to pronounce it. And also, his kids show up, and it's so adorable. There's a song called Go Baseball, which was written by his son. There is a song about his daughter, Don't Break Her Heart. There's great stuff on here. There's a tremendous song that apparently was originally going to be part of a project that Snodgrass did with Mikey Erg that had to do with baseball. And this song, it talks about kindness, but through the lens of being a touring artist. And it's just, here, take a listen.
Not everyone knows your name, and even if they did, might not be their day to deal with it. Working at the place for minimum wage, don't be a jerk. They don't know your name, even if they did, they are working. We're all lucky to be here. Sometimes you must remind yourself you're lucky to be here. Just be kind. They got strings backstage, wants on the range, don't be a dick. We won't name names, sorry that I called you a dick. Working blue is not my shtick. We're all in this together. Sometimes you must account for yourself and it's business. Just be kind. Not everyone knows your name, and even if they did, might not be that day to deal with it. Not everyone knows your famous.
I could go on and gush about every song and every track on this record, but I'm going to limit myself to talk about one more, and that is the song The Sequel. And that's because right off the bat, I'm listening to it, I hear the guitar lick and everything, and I think to myself, this sounds familiar. And within, the first verse, second verse, I'm like, holy shit. This song, it's not only called The Sequel, it is legitimately a sequel to the Drag the River classic, Me and Joe Drove Out to California. And I popped hard. I was marking out so hard for the song. It's catchy, it's fun, and it rewards you for being a long-term fan. I think that's something that I love about this record, and also to some extent Buddies 2, is there is a reward. It's like when you go to a comic book movie and the people who made it aren't ashamed that they're making a comic book movie, and there's reverence to the source material, and they're put in things that only the nerds are going to understand, and that makes them pop. And in the same way, that's something I find in this record, because I hear these songs, and especially a song like The Sequel, and I'm like, God damn. I mean, it's a great song on its own, don't get me wrong. But if you know Me and Joe Drove Out to California, then you know how much more or how much better you're going to enjoy The Sequel.
Fly to Washington and then we'll take the boat to Victoria Island. Here we go, me and Joe again. If we don't get in, guess we just have to do a little swimming. Here we go again. This time we'll hire a driver. This time
So there you have it. That is my top 5 records of 2020. Again, just one more time to go through those 5. At number 5, we had Frank Turner and Jon Snodgrass, Buddies 2, Still Buddies. Number 4, Sam Russo's Back to the Party. Number 3, Don't Make Ghosts, To Hell with the Smiles. Number 2, Benchmarks with Summer Slowly. And number 1, Jon Snodgrass with Taste. You know, this fucking shit show of a year. So glad this is about over. And yeah, I mean, some good things happened. I got to be part of the Punk Lotto podcast now for the second time. And a big thank you to Justin and Dylan for letting my dumbass come on your show, and for you guys making me look not so stupid, which is very hard. I am a very, very easy target to make look like a total dumb fuck, and you guys thankfully didn't do that. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you asking me to be part of your Best of 2020 episode. If you are so inclined, it's time for me to get my plugs in, because that's what we do here on the interwebs these days. You can check out my blog, the website. It's oklahomalefty.com. I don't update it as much as I probably should, or as much as I used to. But, you know, I'm old now, and I'm going back to school. Hopefully, if all goes well, knock on wood, I'll be starting grad school in the fall. So I am busy, and I do work full time, have kids. Well, they're adults now, but I'm making excuses. Anyway, so check that out. You can also follow me on the social medias. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The handle is at Oklahoma Lefty. That's Lefty. Give me a follow. I would appreciate it. And occasionally I do a podcast as well, but you head over to oklahomalefty.com. You can find out anytime I do post about that there. So again, I thank you, Justin and Dylan. I appreciate your time. I always have a lot of fun talking with you guys, whether it's on your show or in the DMs on the Twitters. It's just a good time. You're two great guys, and you have a fun show that I thoroughly enjoy. So I appreciate you reaching out to me, and yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime. So that's it for me. Everyone out there, be safe, be kind, please. And as the great Jerry Springer used to always say, take care of yourselves and each other.
Moving on to, I don't know how this order came about, but I don't know how we're going from post-punk to ska to now metalcore.
Gotta break it up a little bit.
Yeah, a little break of the banana. First I want to talk about Bitter Branches, This May Hurt a Bit. Did you get a chance to listen to this one?
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, so it's Tim Singer of Dead Guy and Kiss It Goodbye. Paul talks about it a little bit too, so I won't spend too much time on it, but it's made up of like veterans of the Philadelphia like hardcore metalcore scene. It's their debut, but it kind of feels like a classic from the 90s. I mean, that being said, it's because it's all people that actually know how to make that music.
Yeah, it's got it kind of fits in like the post-botch realm too. I mean, it kind of fits in the like the These Arms Are Snakes and Former Thieves and It's kind of like Dead Guy with delay pedals.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm here for any album that literally starts with someone just screaming snakes. But it's a really enjoyable EP. It's pretty long for an EP, but yeah, Paul talks about it quite a bit. So stay tuned for the end to hear his take on it. I'm gonna talk about Sharptooth next.
Yes.
So Sharptooth put out Transitional Forms. Pure Noise, who is like kind of the big voice now in metalcore. Sanction, Inclination, Knocked Loose. A lot of those bands are on that label. But Sharptooth, they're a Baltimore band. Another Baltimore band. A lot of them. They're one of the rare feminist hardcore bands, metalcore bands. Metalcore bands, I guess is more. There's plenty of feminist hardcore bands in the scene that's like really active right now. It's like them and Venom Prison. They're like the two who are the most well known in that scene, and Venom Prison are like shifting into like a straight up metal band at this point. Like I think they just signed to like Seasons of Mist or one of those kind of like extreme metal labels. I don't know exactly which label it is, but so I was hooked by this record by the opening track, Say Nothing, where the lead singer Lauren Cashins literally stops the song to make a mosh call. Like she says, now this is the part where it doesn't even matter what we say. I'm just calling for a mosh call, and a generic mosh call. Like
this is where everyone should start killing each other or something.
Yeah. This song is specifically, it's called Say Nothing because she's talking to the bands who use their platform to say nothing and to purely just do generic mosh calls, like wasting your opportunity to say something. This record is full of stuff. Songs about anxiety, you know. There's a lot of really like.
She says it must be nice to say nothing at all.
Yeah,
like the widely held opinions. to quote a Hard Times, running out of widely agreed upon dances to be angry about.
So like I was hooked by that song immediately because it was like funny to me because of just like literally her just calling for a mosh call, and it kind of reminded me of Dead to Fall's song about needing to end the song with a breakdown and how they wrote a stupid song and how they reused lyrics. That one was more just meant to be like a joke song. This one actually means something, and it's also funny. The record features a cameo by Justin Sane from Anti-Flag of all people. I mean, he's trying to sound hard, but he's not like doing a voice or anything like that. It's just like, this is like a big dumb metalcore record, but with something to actually say in the sense. Southern Strategy, The Gray, Manic Pixie Dream Bitch. These just like great songs on this record. Yeah, I love it. I loved it a lot. It may be is it my favorite metalcore record? Yeah, it probably is my favorite metalcore record of the year. Like, and when I say metalcore, it's pretty obvious what I mean when I say that too. It's not because my next part is a lot more hardcore centric. So up next is our hardcore records. We'll start with friends of the show, Body Farm. This is what happens when you take two Californians and then like drop them in the middle of rural Ohio. You get Body Farm, an absolutely killer hardcore band that they borrow extensively from like Power Violence and then even like old school thrashy hardcore. This debut 7-inch is like 7 tracks long and it's 7 minutes long, just a little over 7 minutes long. We had Ocean and Eric on, and they were really fun to talk to, especially when because they chose a record from their scene that they came from in California, and they took a really cool approach of like getting real personal with the show as far as like what records they chose. And then how they talked a lot about how Ohio was almost a culture shock to them in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to like reproductive rights, because Ohio is not known for its progressive stances on abortion rights and Planned Parenthood. But I don't know. This EP is just so good. A majority of like the people that we've had on our show this year, I was already going to include their albums on our best of list anyway because I liked them, and that's why I asked them to be on the show. So maybe we're covering some areas where we've already covered in the past, but I'm going to reiterate how good Body Farm are.
Yeah.
Next I have C.H.E.W. In Due Time. H.E.W. The band said it means nothing. It doesn't actually stand for anything. It's just a cool way to write chew. Dylan told me as he was going through my album rankings of 2020, you said that I had way too many stressful, frantic records for him to listen to on his drive home from work. And this album is the one I thought of whenever you told me that.
Yeah, it's a frantic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a Chicago-based band. I found them through No Echo. I was kind of really hooked by the vocalist Doris Graves. She's got like this really over-the-top performance on this EP, and I guess it's like the lightning fast drum roll on the beginning of the song King Kurtis is like kind of one of my favorite moments of the year, especially in like hardcore. I don't know. This like the energy on this EP is just like so strong that it makes you want to just like run through a wall. Like, I don't know. This is, I guess you call it fastcore, thrashcore. I don't know what you would even call that kind of thing, but it's frantic and it's fast, and I had a blast listening to it.
Were they? Must be thinking of it.
I think this came out in Iron Lung as well.
Yeah.
All right, up next I've got One Way Track by End It, another guest we've had on the show. Akil Ghazi is hands down my favorite male hardcore vocalist on the planet right now. They're based out of Baltimore. This is their second EP. Clocks in at 5.5 minutes long. It's very short. It's what, 4 tracks? Oh, not only is Akil like a great vocalist, but the guitar work by like Rayleigh and Johnny McMillian is like kind of like Integrity stuff. You know, like the later Integrity like solo-y type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so like urgency is kind of a word that music journalists love to use when they talk about hardcore. And I End It as one of those rare bands where like I feel like that term is very apt. I don't know. It's
yeah. It's a kick-ass record. I mean, it's just great riffs, good grooves. Akil's vocals, like Justin said, are really great. When we talked to him on the show earlier, he talked about being like a classically trained singer.
Yeah.
So he's got a nice, clean, strong voice. It's really, really cool to hear. I love the the pure Baltimore accent of his vocals. And there's a couple fun, kind of funny moments. There's like an intro, the little country sample at the beginning, and a lifer. He does the bot to bot to bot. He does the bot to bot. He says the riff. I thought that was really fun. It's cool to have some. I enjoy having some humor in hardcore.
Yeah.
Not be so serious.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of silly music sometimes, you know?
Yeah, hardcore music is silly, I think. Like, there's definitely a silly aspect to it. I mean, a lot of it's cathartic. It was, I guess, came out of like a cathartic release. But, you know, I get a lot of catharsis out of laughter. So
yeah.
that's why I relate more to that kind of stuff. I think that's why, like, whenever like I hear like just a crazy riff, I'll laugh sometimes. And it's just because it's just like entertaining me on such a pure level that it causes me to actually laugh. Like, oh shit, listen to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's always been my reaction to listening to something like that. Just that does something out of nowhere. Speaking of funny, next we have The Muslims Gentrified Chicken. This record is funny, pointing, biting? We played their song Blink 911, What's My Race Again, on our first radio episode. I wished I'd played Punch a Nazi instead, maybe, but I'm extremely proud to call this this band is from our home state. They're from Durham. It's their third self-released full-length album, which is nuts, which is just shocking. You know, it's like, why has no label scooped them up to put out their stuff? But maybe they don't want one. Maybe they're all about self-releasing this stuff. But it's a heavy record that definitely tries to put some humor into some of the moments. It talks about police brutality, white terrorism, gentrification, racism. They really do not pull any punches on this record. Their account on Instagram is aggressively not white, to the point like what I mean by that is they yell at white people all the time on their Instagram account, and it's great. Yeah, this is another one that's just like, it's full of moments that just kind of make they're laughing in some of these songs. So it's like there's definitely some entertainment and joy in these songs, even if they're very heavy subject matters. But yeah, I love this record. Probably in my top 10 personal records of the year. This is another one I talked with Paul about. Soul Glow, Songs to Eat at the Sun. Do you want to talk about this one? Because I talked about it quite a bit with Paul.
I just want to say it's a killer record EP. Really good. I mean, the first 20 seconds of Quietly Do the Right Thing put me on it, so
yeah,
go check it out.
Up next, I got a surprise release that just like got me. It's Sweat with their self-titled 7-inch. So this was like a left field release. For those who haven't had the pleasure of listening to this EP, Sweat is a new hardcore band from Justin Smith, who is the guitarist behind Graph Warlock and Ghost Limb and Dangers and Lost Lands and a dozen other bands. He is joined by his Dangers bandmate Anthony Rivera on drums and LA-based professional wrestler Tuna on vocals. Tuna kind of made waves late last year, I want to say. Maybe the beginning of this year, I can't remember exactly, but kind of made waves in a match with Priscilla Kelly that got a lot of men very angry on the internet. wrestling fans on the internet angry, including Jim Cornette.
This is great.
Did you look up?
Read it. I just looked it up.
We'll just say it's a wrestling match that involves a used tampon, and let the mind wander from there. This isn't really about her wrestling, but I love that story's great. I love that. That got so much hate too. Ridiculous. But Tuna is a fucking awesome hardcore vocalist though. So like there's like a gold font on the sleeve that very much fits with like this rock and roll 70s swagger that's kind of sprinkled on here. You know, like Justin Smith's fans
talking about riffs that make you laugh.
Yeah.
Just like there's some big old riffs on here that should make you smile.
You know, Justin Smith's guitar work, like Ghost Limb is just like a punishing hardcore band, you know? And then Graph does make you laugh with their stuff, but that tends to be the ridiculousness of some of the riffs along with the movie samples. And then if Dangers makes you laugh, it's from the lead singer's lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, but the riffs make me laugh on here because it just has it's like a boogie to it, you know?
More boogie and hardcore.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of it. It's a super short EP. I think they're working on a second one. Yeah, when I read that Tuna was in this, I was like, what? No way. Like, there's not enough like wrestlers fronting hardcore bands. Who else? What else is there? There's Ultraman is Black, and that's it. I'm sure Brody King, I feel like he's probably done something in a hardcore band at some point. He's definitely into hardcore music. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to another release from them. An LP, that'd be great. It's short, and it very easily jumped up on my list of Justin Smith fans. Like, I'm here for this more of this. Next is War on Women's wonderful Hell. Did you listen to much of this record this year?
No, not really.
So I got to experience War on Women live in 2019. They opened for Jawbreaker, so I was already like interesting, and they left like a really huge impression on me. So I don't typically listen to a ton of like fast pace, I guess skate punkish type stuff, like a little bit of Propaganda, I guess, but more like in a hardcore sense. But their live show was just like incredibly entertaining. The lead singer, she's one of the most like entertaining lead singers I've ever seen. She like acts out the songs. Like you can't always like hear what she's singing live, but like you kind of get the gist of it because she'll like act out a lot of it, and like just like your eyes are glued to her the entire time that they perform. And so I was always like, okay, I'm not super into the old stuff, but we'll see what they come out with next. And then this record comes out, and it's, I think, their best record yet. It cuts down on some of the thrash a little bit. It's still like a fast-paced album, but like there's also a newfound like melodicism to it that I really appreciate. And it kind of like tipped it more in the favor of me enjoying the music. Because where I was before, I was just going to be one of those, I will see them live anytime I can. I'm not necessarily going to throw their records on. Now I've got one that I'm going to throw on frequently. Loved this record. Okay, I have two more hardcore entries left that I wanted to mention. I got both of these from Up the Blunks, so that's like probably like 4 or 5 artists now that I've become a fan of thanks to that show. The first one is Wish, When I Saw Hell.
All the things that could have
are a like hardcore crossover band from Tallahassee, Florida. This is a little 4-song EP. I think technically it's 2 2-song singles together as one EP, because there's definitely like a recording quality dip in the second half. And they were released on Bandcamp in split groups of 2, but then like they released it as a cassette on KOTP Records. I was down for it when I saw like the sick Grim Reaper album cover though, that I really want a t-shirt of, which they sell. But I think they sold out of the one. They have like a back print version of it. I'm more of a front print fan.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fat boy and I wear layers, so no one will tell how fat I am if I wear multiple layers.
I'll make myself bigger.
No, I just don't want form-fitting clothing anymore.
Yeah.
This made me wish that I was a skateboarder, or at least like new skateboarders, and I was like their videographer, and I got to film them doing their skate tapes, because I wanted to lay this song over like a compilation. It's just like ripping like fast. I'm not even a crossover fan, but this just like clicked for me. I really enjoyed it. I think it's because it leaned more hardcore than crossover, or more thrash. So I think that's why I got so much joy out of it. And then my last hardcore record is Zulu, My People, Hold On. So Zulu are a hardcore band out of LA. They kind of mix a little bit of like spoken word and samples into their kind of hardcore. I guess it's tagged power violence, but like, I don't know. I feel like that term is also like, when it's applied to anything that doesn't sound traditionally like power violence, I'm always like, is that right? But at the same time, it's not even like such a strict genre. But this is just one of those like real heavy releases that I really liked. Just because listening to it, I was like, this is really saying something. The spoken word parts are really what address some of the issues that a lot of black people face in this country, especially the final one. It's really powerful EP. And it goes by pretty quickly, but it leaves a pretty massive impact on you. Moving on to not punk. We're going to do some shoegaze real quick.
Sort of.
Yeah. Both of these are like not true shoegaze in the sense. But Dummy put out 2 EPs this year. I specifically want theirs, the self-titled, and then one just called EP2. I want to focus more on the first one. So Dummy is the new project by Wild Honey guitarist Joe Traynor. He moved from Baltimore to Los Angeles, and this record is more of a shifting away from shoegaze. I mean, this is a new band too, so like the shoegaze, they're not as tied to it, and it borrows a lot more from like krautrock and like 60s psychedelia.
Some dream pop, big Stereolab, major Stereolab influences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they released 2 EPs so quickly this year shows me that they're like, oh yeah, they're definitely like taking this seriously. So I fully expect to hear more from Dummy. I think it's a bit of a passion project too. Like, I think Joe especially makes it sound like it's something that like he's very, this is what he's doing now. So I really welcome any new Dummy material coming forward in 2021. Also, I have Little Whales and Exercise in Patience. They're from Mumbai, India. It's not exactly shoegaze. They call themselves an indie rock band, but like there's definitely a lot of emo elements in here. It's kind of like that. Remember when all the emo bands said that they were shoegaze bands in 2015 or so, around that time period?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the hum worship time period.
I like this better than a lot of those bands. What I really liked about it is just like how catchy they are.
Yeah, it leans. It's very poppy.
Mm-hmm. You know, India doesn't have a lot of crossover here in like the punk and indie and DIY scene. So like seeing such a cool record come from there, that's like, I don't know. It's really cool to see something like I have some like breakdowns later of more country or continental areas of focus. I guess I could have saved this for the Asia section, but it kind of fit closer to the shoegaze thing I was doing here. But do you have anything that falls under the? Do you want to do the non-punk stuff last, if you have anything, or?
Just do the rest. If you want to talk about Hayley Williams.
Yeah, so Haley Williams put out Petals for Armor. I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about it in the sense that it does not sound like Paramore. Very much almost in like the sophistopop like realm, you know? Like cooler pop centric music, like more chilled. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I mean, this is just like it's very much a departure from what Paramore was doing, which is what you would want, I guess, from a solo artist. I guess I'm more thinking of somebody like a Sharon Van Etten or like a Phoebe Bridgers or, you know, one of those type of solo musicians. It's a really interesting record. Colleen, actually, from Past the Mic, called and talks about it. So I'll let her explain it better.
As far as music that came out this year that doesn't fall under the punk genres that I listened to, we didn't talk about this one, and this one was one we could have talked about under our establishment or gore section, maybe almost moving into the I wouldn't say legends, not there yet, but yeah, definitely we didn't talk about the new Brian Fallon record that came out this year. It's pretty different from the last two solo records, which felt much more like extensions of Gaslight Anthem. This one is much more acoustic based. He really spent a lot of time working on his finger pecking technique. It was kind of a grower for me, though. It didn't hit me right away. None of the singles hit me right away, but the more I heard them, listened to them, the more they grew on me. So it's just a little bit different. Not exactly what I wanted, but still a good record. What else came out? Bruce, of course.
Was it good?
Yeah. It's, you take what you get with anything post 90s with him. Some records are stronger than others. It's not. I really enjoyed Western Stars, which was a very focused record that had a very specific sound that he was trying to make. This one's more like what he's been doing for the last 20 years. Notable, especially though, for being the first record since Born in the USA that the entire E Street Band, at least currently surviving members, recorded together in the studio. So that's nice to hear, especially considering that's one of the biggest problems with everything he's done in the last 20 years. Production decisions aside, I think his songwriting is still good, but it is nice to hear something that sounds more like them as a group instead of, hey, come play on this. Here's a part. But other than that, not much else stands out to me.
Starflyer put up Miami. Starflyer 59 put up.
We should have thrown that under the shoegaze category.
Yeah, we should have, I guess. I guess Starflyer's not as much shoegaze as they used to be, though. So
yeah, I mean, if it's as much in the shoegaze adjacent indie rock,
yeah,
as everything else we talked about in that category. Yeah, that was pretty good too. I wish that it was not. I wish that two of the songs were not just rewritten versions of songs from the last album, but the new songs were really great. This Recliner especially was a really, really good single that hit really hard this year.
I noticed it was interesting. He didn't use his son on this record. He brought back Trey Manny for this one.
Yeah, I wonder if that was if they just recorded those when they were doing the Low Tom stuff.
It's possible because there was a Low Tom record this year too.
Also that as well. Yeah. That song, This Recliner, was about. I just remembered about him he had been hospitalized.
Yeah.
This year.
Was it this year or was it
or sometime
last year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
About that. So I hope you're well, Jason.
Yeah. He has a habit of letting people think that he's done with music. He did it on Old. He did it on Young in My Head. But then they turned her right around in less than a year and released this and a Low Tom record. So it's like, well, you're clearly not done, Yeah.
He's forever trying to quit.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just stop. And
No.
then he can't. Of course.
Don't stop. Keep going. Unless you just don't want to. Then stop, Yeah, Steve Dale's on that record as well. Yeah, he was on the last one too, though. So.
And of course, there's the two Taylor Swift albums. They're so boring.
One's a Lord of the Rings record, right?
It looks like a like an atmospheric black metal record.
Well, what's the one? Evermore? Isn't that Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, it's the Lord of the Rings looking one.
And what, folklore? Well, whatever. Yeah, I guess I got my 200. I don't know where I'm going to post that. I guess I'll post it on the Substack, my list. I've written like up for 60 something records so far, so I got a lot more to write. I think everything 100 below is only going to be like 1 or 2 sentences. So I wanted to do something a little unique. I noticed there were a couple different scenes around the world that were like releasing a lot of music this year that I was just like, shit, this is really good. I don't know what's going on there, but they're having a moment, especially with like punk and DIY related stuff. So up first, I wanted to talk about Asia. The very first thing I have here is Prospects, which it was originally released as a demo and has been since issued and mastered as a 12-inch maxi single for a French record label called Symphony of Destruction. Prospects are a dark synthwave 2-piece band from Singapore. They recorded these 4 songs while under the mandatory COVID lockdown in their country. I can't remember what they called it, like Codebreaker or something like that. It was like it's originally released as like a home dubbed cassette demos. Like they recorded it at home, like with their like stuff, but then like they sold like home dubbed tapes until the French label picked up for the maxi single. There's these like big pulsing beats and like spooky synth lines, and it's just cool because like I think Singapore is having a moment right now. Like there's this Prospects album. I want to say Fuse is another band out of Singapore that's making some waves. There's even some screamo bands coming out of there too. So Singapore's got a cool scene going on right now. And then I also have a couple Japanese bands. I want to talk about Sedai and their EP Sugao. So it's funny. I've heard from some people, I think Josh and Sarah were talking about this from All Right. They got lucky to tour Japan last year, and they said that the emo bands in Japan right now are going harder than any band in America. And listening to this EP, like I definitely hear it. The opening track, Mudai, it's kind of like hooks you immediately. It kind of borrows from like all the aspects of emo. It's like the big crunchy riffs, and then there's the occasional like Kinsella style tapping. It's really good. I think I found this on The Alternative. The Alternative and No Echo both decided to do these recurring articles on like music coming out of Asia right now, and there's a lot of really cool. I don't know. There's just like. The one article I read talked about how Japan is like embracing streaming for the first time now, because before it was still very much a physical medium. Like CDs still sold really well in Japan. Like Grant, who runs Bitter Melody Records, has like shipped CDs to Japan to like be sold in a record store there. So physical medium is still kind of a thing there, but they're really moving into like Spotify now, and so there's a little bit of kind of explosion in like Bandcamp too, of bands in like these Asian countries posting their stuff more online, at least in a way that is accessible to the rest of the world, not maybe just like strictly limited to their respected countries. That was probably my favorite record from Japan this year. Trico released 2 records this year, one called Makuro, which I think is just black, and then one called 10, which is it's their 10th anniversary. So they released 2 records this year. There's a band called Weave who released an album called The Sound 2. They're like a Jimmy World style emo band. They're really good. And then like 17 Years Old and Berlin Wall released Abstract, which is really enjoyable. the hardcore band called Toast, who released an EP called Home Run. Like, there's some really cool stuff going on. Oh, and Sakuran Zinsen, who are just kind of like a garage rock punk band. They released I Am Sakuran Zinsen. Good stuff. I mean, if you just throw in Japan into, like, rate your music and, like, see what comes up and, like, you just, like, sample what's coming out of there, there's some really, really cool stuff. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, the UK is having quite a moment. Everyone knows about Idols and Shame. They're kind of like the two big UK bands right now. Every once in a while, there's like the Gallows thing. Like every once in a while, there's like a UK band that just explodes internationally. And Idols, I think, is that band.
Yeah.
And that, the new record, Ultramono, it's pretty good. I don't love it as much as the previous record, Joy as an Act of Resistance. I think they even got in trouble because like the lead singer was saying something about how there are not enough good bands fronted by black women, and I was like, you're stupid.
I think they said something that was like they don't know enough bands fronted by women to offer tour spots to. It's just like, find some. I don't know.
And then
like, what do you like? You're only offering tour spots to bands that you've already known about. Like,
yeah. And there was a black artist from the UK who called them out and said, "You offered me $1,000 for an entire tour."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, you need to pay me more than that."
Yeah.
And they were like, they didn't say shit about that, really. And then they put Big Joni on tour with them. So hopefully Big Joni is going to get more than $1,000 for their entire tour.
Yeah.
I think people came for Idols because they're like, what the fuck? We liked you guys. We can't let you be fucking up like this. You need to fix this. So they apologized for it too, I think. And like they were like, we're gonna work on this. And then I think they raised some money too. So hopefully they're on the right path. Don't want to cancel you, Idols. I like your music. So, but I will. I will.
It's fine. There's so many bands.
You. Shame sounds just like you, and they haven't said shit like that. Yeah. So let's talk about some women-fronted bands. Charm
From
Pit.
the UK, while we're at it.
Yeah. Idols guy. I don't even know your name. Charm Pit released Cause a Stir. They are based out of London. I shouldn't use British accents on the UK section of the episode. They're
You're gonna get yelled at again.
No one's yelled at me. They are, as their name implies, charming. They have a very positive brand of like this upbeat indie punk that a lot of people are saying is a big like a San Jose sound. Like a very they even tagged it San Jose on Bandcamp. I don't know what specific bands they're talking about when they say that, but it is very bright California punk sound. Like you would think they came from Southern California. I became aware of them through their split with Big Joni this year, and they supposedly just have like a really fun live experience. On the other side of that, there's another band who has a very similar, like, fun, hyper enjoyable, feel good performance. Is Dream Nails with their self-titled album. They are a self-described feminist queer band. They're very DIY centric. They are known for their feel-good performances and riotous live show, according to their Spotify bio. They're hyper political. Every song on this record is like addressing some issue. A lot of lesbian love songs on here, which is really fun. Juliet is probably the leading song. I don't know. Dream Nails and Charm Pit both have a lot of queer elements to their music, and so like there's this cool. I don't know. It just seems like the UK all of a sudden now has bands like this, whereas I haven't noticed it before, but maybe I wasn't paying attention to the right bands. And then Cheerbleeders released Lobotomy, and Cheerbleeders features Catherine Woods of Fresh, and as well as members of the bands Happy Accidents and Finish Flag. So this is like a super project of sorts. This isn't their full-time band. This is just kind of like a side project that they do. A little darker sounding than like Fresh, but still kind of upbeat. But enjoyable, very enjoyable EP. And the last area I want to talk about is Australia, mate?
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't. As bad as my English accent is, my Australian one is worse. I want to talk about Cable Ties.
I'm trying to remember the like Australian bodybuilder, Energizer spokesperson from the 80s. What was his name? Too right. Energizer. Deepest apologies to any Australian listeners. America just can't. We just can't help but laugh at the way you talk. Anyway,
the only Australian I've ever had any I think the only Australian I've ever really had any interaction with was this dude at Fest. Take a drink, and he was just like this loud, over the top, like drunk all weekend dude, and like he hung around with mixtapes a lot, and we saw him at Fest and at Crazy Fest in the same year. So like he came from Australia to like hang out with the mixtapes like twice in 1 year. I think he went on tour with them around Fest. But he was talking about how like Australia is like a room full, like he's like, Australia's wild. He's like, imagine a room full of me. And it was just like a whole country is full of that. Just this over the top guy. But they're having a moment right now.
Look, so if I could move to Australia right now,
I would.
I would. I mean, so I have always I for some reason there was a big. I feel like when I was in elementary school, every kid had an Australia phase. I don't know what was going on culturally, what we were importing.
Kangaroo Jack
loved koalas, the Red Rock, and like anyway. And it's basically like here where I live now anyway, so it would be like a very easy lateral move. Just it's a desert full of hicks.
Records that came out of Australia. Cable Ties released Far Enough. We talked about them on the first radio episode as well. Maybe I should do a better job of not picking stuff that I'm going to talk about later in the year when I do the radio episodes, but whatever. I like it. I like Sid as all. Released on Merge Records. I talked about that band quite a bit on that episode. Just these like really anthemic, like indie punk songs. Lead singer has such a powerful voice. I have a short attention span when it comes to long songs, and this album has 3 songs over 6 minutes long, and only 1 song that's under 4. And yet, weirdly, like I am not tired of any of these songs when I listen to this record.
This was one of the records that prompted me to say I'm having difficulty working through your best stuff. Pretty anxious sounding record too. It's got a angular post-punk.
Mm-hmm.
We got to find a different way to say that. We got to stop saying angular. I know that's the rock critic, music critic, like joke term.
But I did want to talk about another record. So there's this band called Tired Lion, and they released a record called Breakfast for Pathetics. to the end of the year. They are from Brisbane, and they were originally from Perth. The lead singer, Sophie Hopes, moved to be with her partner, Luke Boardrum, who sings and plays guitar in Violent Soho. So she eventually wound up leaving like all her original bandmates behind, and then became like the sole member of Tired Lion. Fortunately, Luke helped produce this record and recruited Violent Soho drummer Michael Richards to lend a hand on the album, which results is a very Violent Soho sounding record, but to be completely honest, she does it better than they do. This record is a lot of fun to listen to. It jumped very high up on my best of list this year when I heard it, and it is a late addition to the year. It's just, like you take all the things about Violent Soho, which they produced a record this year too called Everything Is A-OK, which is good. I preferred Waco, the previous record they did. But it's kind of grungy, upbeat, 90s inspired, apply it to pop punk almost, and it's just a fun record to listen to. I think Steve doesn't messaged me one day, and he was saying, it's like, you were like reading my mind for like his top 10 not quite top 10s posts, and I really enjoyed this record, and I think that will do it. I think I like that one enough.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Maybe next year we'll do a worst of.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell if a list would have been better or not. I don't know, but I covered a lot of what I liked this year.
All right. Well,
thank you for listening. I don't know how to end this. Show's over. Go home.
See you next year, I guess. I mean, these episodes are going up at the beginning of January, but stay tuned for what will hopefully be a very interesting and exciting year for Punk Lotto Pod. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it'll suck.
Anything like this episode.
I'm not making any promises because I tried to do that for myself beginning of this year, and everyone knows how that turned out. Yeah. I'm jinxing anything.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll do it for this week. And next week, we'll be back on our regularly scheduled pseudo-random records. And I'm sure we'll come up with a couple gimmicks throughout 2021 that we'll want to incorporate poorly.
Yeah.
But
we'll try something. Retool some of our other gimmicks.
Do a throwback episode. I think we're going to do that. I like the idea of doing at least one every once in a while.
Yeah.
Truly random record.
True format.
Format,
yeah.
Maybe even more strictly to format than we were in the past. That would be more fun. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we do with that. Oh, it's awful.
All the gore grind you can take.
Yeah. Maybe filter out gore grind. All right. Bye.